The White House bowed to criticism from both sides of the aisle today after the president's social media feed posted a video with a racist meme that made fun of President Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama.
It's been issue after issue. At the same time, and I know you've been dealing with this today, but Donald Trump's Truth Social post set off a firestorm online. I only noticed it this morning because I was writing, but it was a video that he had posted portraying Michelle and Barack Obama with an ape motif, and I guess there were other politicians who were portrayed in other animal motifs as an internet meme. Tim Scott, the senator, obviously African-American, said he was praying it was fake because it was the most racist thing he'd ever seen out of the White House. The president should remove it. Karoline, I know the president did remove it, deleted it, but it was up for, I think, 12 hours or something like that. How did this happen, and can you really throw a staffer under the bus for this?
Well, look, Laura, it was a meme that was posted by a staffer on the president's Truth Social account. It was from a Lion King video depicting, as you pointed out, different Democrats as different animals. I think Kamala Harris was depicted as a turtle in this video meme. The president did take it down. He spoke with lawmakers today out of respect for them, including Senator Tim Scott. The post was removed. But leave it to the leftist media, of course, to talk about this all day, rather than talk about the fact that the Dow has broken over 50,000 points for the first time in our nation's history.
Hello and welcome, guys. Adam is here. In the grand gilded circus of the Trump White House, spokespeople are not mere communicators. They are professional illusionists. Their job is to perform a magic trick in broad daylight, convincing the world that the chaos is order, that the cruelty is strength, and that the bigotry is just misunderstood patriotism. Karoline Leavitt, the press secretary, is one of these illusionists. But yesterday, the master magician himself, Donald Trump, reached into the middle of her act, tore apart the hidden wires, and revealed the cheap trap door to the entire audience.
Media post that you took down earlier today, the White House says that a staffer sent it. Who sent it, and are you going to fire them?
I looked at it, I saw it, and I just looked at the first part. It was about voter fraud in someplace, Georgia. There's a lot of voter fraud, 2020 voter fraud, and I didn't see the whole thing. I guess during the end of it, there was some kind of a picture that people don't like. I wouldn't like it either, but I didn't see it. I looked at the first part, and it was really about voter fraud and the machines, how crooked it is, how disgusting it is. Then I gave it to the people. Generally, they'd look at the whole thing, but I guess somebody didn't. They posted, and we took it down, and we did it. But that was a voter fraud that nobody talks about. They don't like to talk about that post. We took it down as soon as we found out about it.
The result was a spectacle of such profound professional disintegration that it will be studied as a textbook example of a propaganda machine devouring its own operator. This is the story of a racist social media post, a hastily constructed lie to contain it, and the moment the lie's architect, the president, publicly detonated his own defense, leaving his spokesperson to be publicly dismantled on what was supposed to be the safest stage in conservative media. It began with a digital spitball that carried the weight of a historical manifesto. From Donald J. Trump's Truth Social account, an account that has launched missiles at foreign leaders, upended markets, and dictated federal policy, came a post of pure, undiluted racial animus. The specific content is almost secondary to its essence. It was a visual and textual trope that played on the oldest, most vile racist stereotypes in the American playbook.
A number of Republicans are calling on you to apologize for that post. Is that something you're going to do?
No, I didn't make a mistake. I mean, I look at a lot of thousands of things, and I looked at the beginning of it. It was fine. They had that one post, and I guess it was a takeoff. By the way, a lot of people covered. If you look at where it came from, I guess it was a takeoff on the Lion King, and certainly it was a very strong post in terms of voter fraud. Nobody knew that was at the end. If they would have looked, they would have seen it, and probably they would have had the sense to take it down. But that was a takeoff on the Lion King.
It wasn't coded language or dog whistle politics. It was a foghorn of bigotry. The internet recoiled. editorial boards across the political spectrum, including traditionally conservative outlets, condemned it. Political opponents, as expected, issued scathing statements. But the critical eye quickly turned to the Republican establishment and the conservative commentariat. What would they do? Would they finally, after years of normalized outrage, name the thing for what it was? Enter Karoline Leavitt. Her task was damage control. Phase 1. Narrative containment. In the early morning light, through a series of cable news hits and a press gaggle, she deployed the standard issue toolkit of the Trump-era scandal manager. First, the minimization maneuver. She repeatedly referred to the incendiary post as a meme. This is a deliberate tactic of semantic bleaching. A meme is internet ephemera, a joke, a shareable piece of content. By defining it thus, she attempted to drain it of its ideological and hateful potency. It's not a racist declaration, the framing implied. It's just an edgy internet thing. Second, the diffusion dodge. This was the cornerstone of her defense. With a practiced tone of bureaucratic concern, she introduced the specter of the unauthorized staffer. The president's social media account is an important official communications channel, she might have said. While the president is ultimately responsible, we are looking into whether a staffer with access may have posted this content without proper vetting. This was the golden thread of plausible deniability. It offered a sacrificial lamb, a faceless, nameless digital staffer. It allowed sympathetic Republicans to express concern about account security rather than about the president's racism. It provided a shield for those who needed one. Maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was a rogue intern. We should get to the bottom of this internal process failure. For a few hours, the illusion held. The story in the conservative sphere was subtly shifting from Trump posts racist image to White House investigates possible unauthorized post. It was a classic misdirection. Leavitt was juggling her narrative chainsaws, and for a moment, it looked like she might not lose a limb. Then, the principal spoke. Aboard Air Force One, the great uncontainable ide of the operation, Donald Trump faced questions. When asked about the post and the growing staffer story, he didn't just reject the cover story. He obliterated it with the casual cruelty of a man who cannot stand for anyone else, even in his defense, to hold the spotlight. I looked at the post, he stated, his words a wrecking ball swinging through Leavitt's carefully constructed facade. The implication was devastatingly clear. He saw it, he reviewed it, he approved it. There was no rogue staffer. There was no process failure. There was only him, his sensibility, and his decision to publish. In one sentence, he transformed the scandal from a question of who to a confession of what. He confirmed the racism was intentional, considered, and owned. The political ricochet was instantaneous. Every Republican lawmaker or pundit who had tentatively parroted the "we need to look into the staffer access" line was now holding a smoking gun with their own fingerprints on it. They had been caught advancing a demonstrably false narrative, a narrative their own president had just exposed as a lie. The cover-up had not only failed, it had been exposed by the person it was designed to protect, making the original sin look even more calculated. This set the stage for a segment of political television that transcended mere interview and entered the realm of ritual sacrifice. Karoline Leavitt, her credibility already gutted by her boss, walked into the lion's den of the Ingraham angle. For a Trump official, this is the green room, not the battlefield. It's where narratives are amplified, not interrogated. But Laura Ingraham is no mere sycophant. She is a high priestess of the MAGA movement, and she understands that the faith's longevity depends on a brutal internal honesty. She saw that the staffer lie was a cancer on the movement's credibility, not because the racism was unacceptable, but because the incompetent lying was. It made the tribe look stupid, and that is an unforgivable sin. What followed was not an interview, but an autopsy. Ingraham dispensed with pleasantries and went straight for the jugular. "Karoline," she began, her voice a mix of disappointment and stern authority. "The president himself today said he looked at the post. He said there was no staffer. So your explanation this morning, what was that?" Leavitt was instantly on the back foot. The ground beneath her had vanished. She retreated to her only remaining bunker. The president shared a meme but Ingraham was already shelling the position. Calling it a meme doesn't change what it is, Karoline, Ingraham countered, articulating the frustration of a base that prides itself on seeing through political correctness. Republicans are calling this out. They're saying this is a problem. The story keeps changing.
But, it's not just Democrats. There are Republican senators, Pete Ricketts, others saying, look, we understand it was, but the president should just come out and apologize for it and say, look, this was a mistake. Sorry if it offended anyone. Why not?
Well, look, I won't get ahead of the president, Laura, and he may be speaking with the press later today, but he did take down the post. And again, this is merely a distraction for the fake news media from Trump or X last night, from the fact that this week it was revealed 0 illegal aliens were released into our country again for 9 months in a row, another historic achievement of this administration. The fact that this week we saw the data murder rates in this country the lowest since 1900. I mean, these are unbelievable results on behalf of all Americans, regardless of race, religion, or creed, whether they live in a red state or a blue state. And we fight extremely hard here every single day to get the fake news media to pay attention to the wins and the achievements that I see this president firsthand working around the clock to accomplish and to deliver on behalf of this great country, which he loves so much.
This was the critical pivot. Ingraham wasn't attacking from the left. She was enforcing purity from the right. Her criticism wasn't, "This is racist," though that was the subtext. It was, "You are bungling the defense of the thing we've already decided to defend." She was holding Leavitt accountable for failing the professional standards of the propagandist. Leavitt's disintegration was quiet, profound, and televised. Her answers became a stuck record of mangled talking points. The president's views are clear. We're focused on the policy. It was a piece of content. She was a lawyer with no case, a magician with no tricks. The crumbling was visible in the micro-expressions, the flicker of the eyes, the tense set of the jaw, the slight tremor in the voice as she realized her sanctuary had become her execution chamber. She was not being debated. She was being scapegoated for the administration's self-inflicted wound, and the person wielding the knife was a fellow traveler. The deeper truths exposed by the collapse. This spectacular meltdown was not just a bad day at the office. It was a diagnostic X-ray of the Trump presidency's terminal dysfunctions. The uncontainable id. The central, fatal flaw of the Trump administration is Trump himself. He is psychologically incapable of sustaining a defensive narrative that requires him to cede even a molecule of agency. His compulsion is to own, to dominate, to claim. Even when ownership is damning, his ego chooses it over the perceived weakness of having his actions mediated or explained by staff. He is his own worst enemy and his staff's inescapable nightmare. The staffer did it excuse has been a workhorse of the administration, used for typos, policy reversals, and now, explicit racism. Trump's blunt refutation exposed it as the threadbare fiction it always was. It revealed an operation where accountability is so alien that its default setting is to invent a shadowy, unaccountable underling, a narrative so flimsy the president himself will not uphold it for a single news cycle. The Fox News gauntlet. The Leavitt-Ingraham confrontation marks a significant evolution. It shows that even within the MAGA media fortress, there is a limit to the tolerance for obvious, bungled deceit that makes the movement a laughingstock. Ingraham's attack was a form of quality control. She was defending the effectiveness of the propaganda, not necessarily its content. When the lies are so clumsy they break the fourth wall and remind the audience they're being lied to, the propagandist-in-chief must be chastised. Amplification through self-immolation. The entire 24-hour saga served to massively amplify the original racist post. The controversy was no longer just about the post. It was a meta-scandal about the lie told to protect it, and the president's sabotage of that lie. It guaranteed the racist content would be analyzed, screen-capped, and discussed for days, with the added bonus of showcasing breathtaking administrative incompetence and dishonesty. They turned a one-day story into a week-long seminar on their own moral and operational bankruptcy. The inescapable pattern. The racism is the point. The Truth Social post was not an anomaly. It was a data point on a well-charted map. This incident connects directly to the project of the Trump administration, the systematic erasure of Black achievement and authority. This is not conjecture. It is documented policy. As reports have detailed, Trump has overseen a purge of Black leaders from federal agencies. The first Black chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the first Black librarian of Congress, the first Black woman on the National Labor Relations Board, the first Black chairman of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, all replaced with white men. This is a project of restoration not to some mythical greatness, but to a specific monochromatic vision of American power. Trump's own sputtering, nonsensical denial, "I'm the least racist person, I love all people," is the pathetic punchline to this brutal history. It is a ritual incantation that has lost all meaning, a spell he casts that convinces no one but is demanded by the script. In the end, Laura Ingraham did not destroy Karoline Leavitt over the racism of the post. She destroyed her over the failure of the lie. She exposed the shoddy craftsmanship of the cover-up. In doing so, she performed an unwitting public service. She demonstrated that the machinery of Trumpism has no loyalty to its own operators. When the narrative fails, the narrator is fed into the gears. Leavitt crumbled because she was tasked with selling a product that the manufacturer had already publicly recalled as defective. The stage was set, the lights were hot, and she was left alone to perform an illusion for which all the props had just been burned by the very man who hired her. The spectacle wasn't just the racist post. It was the humiliating public unraveling of the entire apparatus built to defend the indefensible, proving once again that the most potent agent of chaos in Donald Trump's Washington is Donald Trump himself.